Hi, my name is Tyler Whitman, and today I'm going to be discussing agriculture in the United States and the differences between conventional and sustainable agriculture. Here's today's audience for the speech today. As you know, agriculture affects all of our lives in many, many ways every day. It's around us all the time, from the clothing that we wear to all the foods that we eat. Everything in the supermarket is basically made from agriculture today. The hunting and gathering aspect still exists in people today, but it's much, much different than it was thousands of years ago, as the only hunting and gathering that we need to do is just get into our car or walk to the nearest grocery store, and we have pretty much unlimited farming resources available to us. It's easy to take for granted how easy it is to get our food resources today, and it's easy to overlook how big agriculture actually is and how it does affect all of our lives. My personal passion for food is what brought me to get more interested and more involved in where our food actually comes from and the manufacturing and all the processes that go into what we harvest and what we eat. At the time of the last U.S. agriculture census in 2002, there were 2.2 million farms in the U.S., covering 922 million acres of land. That averages out to 418 acres per farm that supplies us with all of our resources for agricultural needs. Now, what is agriculture? Agriculture or farming, is the art, science, production, and occupation of raising crops, livestock, and feeding and breeding the livestock. All falls under the category of agriculture. Corn is by far the #1 produced and harvested agricultural resource, producing 257 million metric tons at a value of $25 billion annually. It's a huge, huge industry just in one product that we grow in the United States. Now, corn isn't, when you think of corn, you may think of corn on the cob or corn in the can, but corn can be used for many, many things. It's used for feeding much of the livestock that we eat today, and it can also be broken down into different concepts that go into some of the sodas that we drink and some of the processed foods that we eat. Following corn, the top valuable farm products are cattle meat, dairy milk, chicken meat, and soybeans. That rounds out the top 5 farming of agriculture. Now, there's two basic types of farming. There's conventional agriculture and there is sustainable agriculture. Now, conventional agriculture is basically known as industrial agriculture. It's the big guys in the farming scene. It's basically a roundup of all the scientific and technological advances that agriculture has brought us over the last 100 years. It makes food cheap and convenient for us to get. It's how we can eat a tomato any time of the year. When if they're grown in Nebraska, they're typically freshest, in the mid to late summer times. You can get squash any type of year. Many fruits and vegetables you can get any type of year, and it's conventional agriculture that has allowed us to enjoy these throughout the year in our developed country here. The conventional agriculture came about as a need to feed massive populations. In the 1800s, there were only 1 billion people on this planet. And back then, one farmer could feed 6 or 7 people. Now you jump forward to today, over 200 years later, and there's nearly 7 billion people on the planet. But as advances in in industrial agriculture have come about, one farmer can now feed nearly 100 people. So there's a lot less farming needs, and the efficiency can go a lot further in supplying our food needs. Developments in conventional agriculture came about most noticeably during the times of the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution brought a lot of advancements in technology, and World War II was actually one of the main proponents of the Industrial Revolution. Other wars, such as the Vietnam War, were also huge in developing conventional agriculture, as it brought about the introduction of of chemicals. Monsanto was a chemical company that supplied the Army and the U.S. military with Agent Blue and Agent Orange. Those were products that the military used in Vietnam to kill the shrubbery and the trees so that the guerrilla warfare of the Viet Cong, they couldn't hide in the shrubbery as well. And Monsanto then developed, after the wars there, they started developing soybean products, and currently today control 90% of all of the soybean that is planted in the United States. Technological and shipping advancements also played a great deal in the advancements of cultural or industrial agriculture. There are currently 4 main companies in the U.S. that process in industrial agriculture and feed and supply most of our supermarkets. These 4 companies process 81% of cows in supermarkets, 73% of sheep, 57% of pigs, and 50% of chicken. In 1967, there were 1 million pig farms, but that, as of nearly today, that has been reduced by nearly 90% to just 114,000 pig farms. So as you can see, industrial agriculture has really dropped down how many companies and how many people is actually needed to supply a massive population. On the other hand, sustainable agriculture is a farming system using the most naturally and organic methods in farming. It dates back to the originations of farming, and it's about sustainable practices and using only what you need to produce. It goes past using chemicals and fertilizers and different vitamins and nutrients, and tries to just keep things as naturally as possible. Sustainable agriculture has 4 basic goals: to satisfy the food and fiber needs of the human population, to enhance the environment by keeping it chemical and additive free, and to have efficient use of natural resources, and to enhance the quality of life for farmers and society in whole. Again, sustainable agriculture is highly dependent on renewable resources. The main renewable resources and pretty much all that sustainable farming needs is sun, air, soil, and water. Now, sun is, depending on what day it is, you can find sun just about anywhere in the world. Same thing with air. You know, it's the air we breathe. That's what surrounds us all right now. Soil needs to be preserved for sustainable agriculture to make sense. Typically, there's no tilling in sustainable agriculture, as organic farmers prefer to keep the ground natural so they don't dig it up. They will let the livestock manure decompose back into the ground. They will let the vegetables and the stalks that remain after harvesting go back into the ground, and it creates a circle of maintaining the preservation of organic farming. And they use no chemical fertilizers. The water that they used must be from a renewable source. That is, they can't be overusing their water supply for it still to be considered organic. It needs to be naturally replenished. Now, in Nebraska, especially in the western part, we do have the Ogallala Aquifer. It's typically used in drip irrigation systems. Now, the problem with farming in the Ogallala Aquifer is that it's being used more than it's being naturally replenished, and that leaves very little water left in the actual aquifer, as we've pretty much nearly depleted that resource, even though we are still getting some good use out of it. So, conventional agriculture or industrial agriculture and sustainable or organic agriculture are 2 of the main themes in farming today. It's valuable to have an understanding of where our food comes from and the different methods that are used to fill our supermarkets and clothe us. And I hope that you guys have learned a little bit more about the basic differences of farming, and thank you for your time.